I'll leave part numbers out down in the description below so you guys can see exactly what I got. I am not going to leave a part number for the rear mount, for the fact that it's a different design from OEM, and the inserts I got from Monkey Ranch Racing, part of Energy Suspension. Nothing wrong with the inserts. The problem is the rear mount I got from Oreillys. It is totally different. It has a different design. Is it better? I'm not sure, but what I'm not happy is that the design came out differently, so I wasn't able to insert them properly, so that is not a bonus. So it was pretty much, in a way, a little bit of a waste of money. But the only reason I got it from Oreillys is because I was trying to save money and not go OEM, which is $100 from a mount, compared to me paying $45 for a mount, which is half the price. So I'm not going to leave that in the description, so if you guys want, leave the part number for OEM Toyota. This is the rear broken one, by the way. Now, the only reason I decided to do the rear mount is for the fact that it was cracked. You could literally move it with my bare hand. So the front one was still good, and still good. There was no signs of it being stressed out, so I just decided to go with the rear one for that reason. If you want to do both at the same time, that is perfectly fine, but just want to justify the only reason why I decided to just buy one new rear mount instead of the rear and the front. So that's my justification for that. So it's up to you guys if you want to do both, or if you see if it has cracks and it moves with your hand or with a little bit of force, then it's most definitely time for you to get a new mount. Alright guys, so I ran into an issue. The issue was that since this is a aftermarket torque mount for the XRS, it's not the original OEM. The design is different. So what I had to do was basically cut it out from the middle right here and cut out a good portion of right here. The top portion of these inserts did not fit. That's the reason why I filled it in right here. So I basically had to cut some of this stuff out in order for it to kind of stick in place. The bottom portion I'm kind of fighting, but I think it's going to be doable. So that's basically what I did. Otherwise, if you decide to get an OEM Toyota torque mount, you shouldn't have any issues at all. Same thing on this side. I fill in the top and how to cut out just a little bit more on the sides so it could flush perfectly in. And I mean, it's not perfectly flush towards the torque mount, but that's basically what it has to be. We're just gonna send it like that. Now, if you decide to cut the inserts with a knife or a razor blade, in my case, be very careful. I actually did cut myself pretty bad. I mean, to be honest with you, I probably should have gotten stitches. They're already healed, but I decided to not get stitches, but fortunately it did heal. So just be very, 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 very careful how to use the razor blade if you decide to cut the inserts. Go ahead and grab your caulking gun with the polyurethane caulking supply of your choice, and just go ahead and start spreading. Try to push it in as much as you can, just like that, and then grab something to push it in. And we'll do it again, just like that. Push it in some more. Now, before you put in those polyurethane inserts on the motor mounts, be sure to let the polyurethane sealant dry out really good. Since it's a solvent base, sealant, or adhesive, or whatever the case may be, whatever you want to call it. It takes a while for it to dry, so the more time you have, the better. But I would suggest, at the very least, give yourself 2 days for it to cure. 1 day is not enough, I could tell you that, because if you play around with it after 1 day, it still is sticky. So after a couple days, it's quite doable. So if you use your cars a daily, you could go ahead and do that after a couple days, which is the weekend. But anything sooner than that, I do not recommend. So take your time, let the sealant dry, and then you could go ahead and install the polyurethane inserts.
Alright, so that's basically how I'm going to send it, just like that. Now, for the torque mount brace right here, for the torque mounts, the one for the back and for the front, you completely take it out. The engine's not going to fall off. What's supporting everything is basically the tranny mount and that right mount over there. So you have a ton of axis space to kind of move around and take out both the back and front mount.
Now it's up to you guys, but this tranny mount right here, you guys could take off that tranny mount if you guys want. The only thing you have to do is be very careful where you position the jack to go up and down. I did not take off my tranny mount, but it's going to give you a little bit more room to actually play around with the tranny if you go up and down with the jack. So I'm going to leave that up to you guys, what you guys want to do, but that's another option that you guys could do along with the process of doing the front and rear torque mounts. Go ahead and grab your jack and start jacking it up, and grab your tranny side and just basically start lifting it up. Alright guys, so the mount is in. That is it right there. You actually do have some space to put it in. Now the trick to putting in the mount back there is taking off the bracket that holds in place the back mount, which is this guy. It's held up by 3 14 mil bolts, and this bracket right here goes, so that's the mount. Bracket goes right here. So basically you take off those three bolts, take off the bracket, and of course your bolt that slides through the middle right here, the mount. Once you take off that bolt that slides through the middle of the mount, which is a pain in the butt, that bolt actually had to extract it from the top of the engine. So I'll show you guys that in a little bit. But in order for yourself to feed out this back mount, you got to take off that bracket that has 3 bolts. Take off those 3 bolts, take off the bracket, and then you could slide with this guy while jacking up the tranny just a bit. Once you get the mount in, you have to insert the bracket also. At the same time, you got to push. Don't settle the mount yet onto the mounting holes. Push it up. Once you push it upward, you'll be able to kind of play around with it and get your bracket aligned with the tranny. Once you get the bracket in line with the tranny, the 3 bolts will go in. Just try to feed them as much as you can. Trust me, it's not easy, but it is possible. So once you hand tighten them first and feed them in, the next step will be obviously tighten them down. Now, luckily, I'm fortunate enough to have this type of ratcheting wrench right here by Matco. They're not cheap, but if you guys could find a solution to kind of tighten down the 2 bolts at the bottom, one over here, one over here, go ahead and do so. My best way to kind of do that is by using this right here. So quite fortunate to have that. And the reason I'm saying is because you don't have too much room to play around with right there by feeding a socket or a wrench. Now the other bolt, those are the two bottom bolts. The top bolt, you're basically gonna take off your brace. The other top bolt for that bracket, you could basically get some access through here. So that's the other option if you're trying to get that top bolt, is through the top side. It's a lot more easier for you to get access to that top bolt. Once you get that bracket stationed up, the next step would be putting this your brace right here, support brace for the torque mounts. Once you get it in, you can now feed your rear mount through the holes, because basically your back torque mount is supposed to go on top of this brace right here. If you start bolting down your mount, you cannot put this supporting brace right here at all. It's actually supposed to go underneath your mount. So don't tighten up most of your bolts yet until you get this guy installed first. So once you get this guy right here inside, you'll have your jack, and basically start jacking up the car until you start aligning the holes to your middle bolt. So once you start jacking up your tranny up and down, it's going to be really hard for you to align your bolt. That bolt right there, I mean, if I can see right here, that ties down your mount to the bracket. That bolt, it's going to be a little bit hard to kind of guide in, because the engine tends to pivot a certain way when you're jacking it up and down. So you got to play with the jack and basically go up and down until you align that hole, and then you could feed your bolt that holds your mount to your bracket. Another way that I kind of did it is basically you get started one of these bolts right here that holds down the mount, and kind of play around. The only bolts that you need to tighten down is your bracket bolts. Those bracket bolts you can tighten down and snug them up, finish them up. All the rest of the bolts have to be loose for you to move around and have play to get that mount inserted. You are going to have to be doing a lot of playing with it, for the fact that it's a little bit hard to kind of snug in the polyurethane bushings in there, but it's going to take a while. But like I said, it is doable. Once you get everything snugged up with the motor mount and the bracket, you can start snugging up all your bolts, including this guy right here. Is really easy to insert. I have very little issues to kind of get it inside there. The main issue is that rear mount. That rear mount is total chaos. It's going to take you a while, but for this guy, it's pretty straightforward. So like I say, once you get that rear mount inside there, you basically just got to tighten every single bolt down and finish it up and have it ready to go. So the bolts basically for this mount right here will be two 14mm bolts right here, two 14mm bolts right here for this brace right here, and for the rear mount you basically have some three 14mm nuts and one 14mm bolt feeding it through underneath the subframe. And then of course for your brace right here, you have one bolt feeding it through the top, and that is pretty much it. Alright guys, so that'll be the end of the video. Just decided to randomly record it like this for the fact that I gotta feed the family, and since it's Halloween day, I gotta go back and get stuff ready for the night. So I'll let you guys go, and just thought I should let you guys know that it'll be a lot more easier if you guys take off your axle. I have a video coming soon, which I'm currently working on, taking off the axle and replacing the axle seal. So just be forward to doing that. And also I have a surprise of another project coming in with a ton of stuff that I have revolving around my life. So I'll manage to put that in channel 2. What else? That is pretty much it. If you guys could please give me a thumbs up if you guys have some knowledge, confirmation of this being helpful. If you don't like this video, make sure you hit that thumbs down button twice, so that'll help me out a lot too. So appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys in a little bit. If you guys have any questions, feel free to message me on Instagram at opueblo2zz. And again, don't forget to subscribe, and that'll help me out in the long run in the future. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.